One of the biggest questions that I got from people that I know is, how did Alexandros Mograine, the Ashbringer, end up in Maldraxxus fighting side by side with the thing he hated most in life? And why is it that he ended up there when a fellow paladin, Uther the Lightbringer, who lived a fairly similar life, ended up in Bastion? On the surface, you would think that most paladins who dedicated their lives to serving others would simply end up in Bastion for their selflessness in life, but Alexandros breaks that mold. So why is it that he ended up in Maldraxxus when Bastion is clearly more suitable for him? Well, before I can answer that, I should say this question is actually brought up and answered during the Necrolord campaign. So if you plan on, or are, in fact, helping Maldraxxus get itself back in order, and you don't want spoilers, please turn off the video right now. I'll wait. Okay, so, as I was saying, this question comes up during the Necrolord campaign, more specifically, Chapter 5. During it, you, accompanied by Alexandros, go to Bastion to help the Kyrian dispose of what's left of the House of Constructs after their brazen attack on the Temple of Courage.
We had nearly retaken our temple when your kind returned in force. I will not rest until this ends.
Near the end, after you've beaten what remains of the traitorous Maldraxxus, the Ashbringer approaches the Paragon of Courage and beseeches a reason for why he ended up amongst those he did battle with in life and not with the Kyrian, reasoning that he shares more with them than the servants of the Primus.
Ashbringer, the Arbiter's judgment is infallible. She must have recognized something within you that was meant for Maldraxxus.
Yet I dedicated my life in service to the light. Is that not what earns a place in Bastion?
Walk with me, both of you.
Now, to give some quick context, the Kyrian of Bastion are, I would say, one of the most prestigious groups in all of the Shadowlands, and to join those of Blue, one must have led a life so selfless that their souls are able to wash away their past to ferry the souls of the dead to Oribos without bias or question. Uther was a good example of this. He, in life, dedicated himself to serving others and never allowed his personal biases to get the better of him. We can see this throughout Warcraft 3. He opposed the calling of Stratholme, as his life was to protect, not slay, the people of Lordaeron, and later, when victory against the Scourge was practically impossible, Uther still stood against Arthas at the end of his days, dying on defense of what he believed in, despite the fact that Arthas was once his own protege. Never did Uther allow his past to cloud his judgment. He only did what he thought was right, and still does in the afterlife. And this all leads us back to Mograine. How did he fail where Uther succeeded? What difference did the Arbiter see in him compared to Uther? And, well, when we accompany Alexandros on his journey to understand his position in the Shadowlands, the differences between him and Uther become blindingly clear. Uther fought in the name of a higher power, whether it be Lordaeron or the Holy Light, but Alexandros fought in the name of love for his family and his nation. As we know, love is a selfish emotion. Love makes us do rash things. Love clouds our judgment, and love, to Alexandros, is what defined him. Everything Mograine did, everything that happened to him in life, stemmed from love and compassion, not by a sense of duty. While Uther fought for God and country, Mograine fought for family and country. Uther would disobey his prince if it meant disgracing his honor, just as easily as Alexandros would let down his guard when in the presence of his son. That is the difference. And while you could easily argue that Alexandros did live fairly selflessly, we have to remember that in order to enter Bastion and ascend as a Kyrian, one must shed their past and relieve themselves of the burdens of life. That includes who and what made you, you. In the words of the Paragon of Courage,
The memories of your life bear torment in death. Were you chosen for Bastion, they would be deemed a burden.
Mograine's compassion and love, the things that made him into a formidable paladin, would have had to go. He would have had to forget about his wife and his children. He would have had to lose his faith in the light and forget about his role as the Ashbringer. And we can really see how much that all means to him in his reactions to his reflections of the past. He shows affection, he shows disgust, disappointment, and he shows pride.
Is that Elena? My love, my light. She is still as radiant as when I last held her. To think she'd be forgotten if I... Renault, my eldest, my demise. His betrayal haunts me, even in death. My son, would this pain be best forgotten? Darion, you died to free me from the scourge, and still you stand in defense of Azeroth. I will never forget your sacrifice. Never.
And in a place like Bastion, there is little room for any of that. One must become indifferent to serve a higher purpose, and Mograine is simply not able to do that, as his lack thereof is what defined his life and legacy. If you have any questions or comments about this video, Warcraft, or its lore, you can leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to read each and every one of them. Thanks for watching.